Hi guys, welcome back to the continuation of my true life story, part 3. And as I ended on my ability to see ghosts, now as life goes on and my father continued to lose his livestock, his animals started passing away from poisonous substances that he didn't know about. And as everything started to turn upside down in his life, one sad evening on his way back home, he complained of a terrible headache. And on the next day, he passed away from this same headache. He wasn't a sick man in any way. Later on in life, we found out that his death weren't a natural cause, and that one woman that was jealous of him uses witchcraft to kill him. In those days, people would say hobia. This is like a disease in Jamaica and around the world now, and it's no secret as it was before. Then I used to attend the Pike all-age school for a while, me and my twin brother. My first sister, which is the eldest, were living in Kingston at the time. Also my second sister. And then, so as my mother were left alone with the five of us to take care of. And as the struggle gets harder for her, still as being an housewife, no other source of income. So things started to falling apart. She decided that I should go and live with my second sister in Kingston. Now, I then leave and started attended the Holy Trinity Secondary School, which is situated in South Camp Road in Kingston. I was around the age of 13 now. My mother would work for people in the field and go to people's houses to wash clothes for them in order to take care of us. Sometimes it was so hard for her as I watched her struggle a long life path. The looks on her face, it brings out every depression. Then I didn't understand fully what she was going through until later in life. And so by doing this to take care of us, I can remember one afternoon she came home and she reaches to her apron. In those days, the elderly, they usually wear apron over their clothes. And so she reaches to her apron, and coming out from it, she take out bread and she stretched it forward, breaking it into 3 parts for me and my 2 other siblings. And she handed it to us. And she said we should eat it and drink water and make ourselves comfortable, because that's all she have. And by doing so, at the time we eat it, but still didn't realize fully what our mother was going through. And as life get more harder for her, we can see everything falling apart for her as the struggles get realer and realer. And suddenly she contracted an illness which is common among us now. It is called arthritis. This sickness is caused from cold, hot and cold. It brings pain into your joints, especially your hands and your feet. And so my mother struggled with this illness for years. And as a child, as I watch my mother passes through these things in life, it made me more stronger. And I think that's what made me who I am today. And so after a couple of years, I had stopped going to school due to circumstances. And I go back to the parish of Manchester. Then, as the year goes on, I have 3 children, and I have decided to travel to a small island to seek for greener pastures. And by doing so, I went to the island of Curacao. And there I entered into a relationship with the devil. At this time, I wasn't walking with God fully. As a matter of speech, then I was a fully sinner out in the world, comparing with who I am today. And so, entering into this relationship with the devil at the time, I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. As in those days, we was just searching for greener pastures, searching for ways to make ends meet. Things that happened to me in life is not that I think it couldn't happen, because I am a person who always looking out for the unexpected. But through life struggles, it had made me to keep going further and further, deeper and deeper, looking into places where I shouldn't even be looking into in the first place. And so, as entering into this relationship with the devil, it had taught me a lesson until today. In the beginning of this relationship, it was so good. I would say everything seems to be perfect, even though we know that there is no such thing as perfection in nothing, but just a matter of speech, because everything was going so good until finally I agreed, and I also have my children here with me on this small island. As we all know, in life, there's a lot of ups and downs, stops and goes. I have been through the valley. I have been in the wilderness. I have been on the hills. And you know where. Life has been a non-stop pain for me concerning my path. And as I said, as the black sheep of the family, I was rejected by everyone that is close to me. Family, friends, is like everyone that I come in contact with is like I was so poisonous. And in this relationship, I find myself started losing everyone around me. I start losing jobs after jobs. Everything for me start getting from bad to worse. Nothing seems to be going right anymore. It's like I'm living in hell. Witching, at that time, I didn't notice that of a fact I was living with the devil until years after. And we all know that when you find yourself living with the devil, it means you're definitely living in hell. And so, guys, as years goes on in this relationship, which I remained in due to these trials that I am going through, by losing everyone close to me, my finance started to take away. Nothing seems to go in right. I was there wondering what is going on with me. I was saying to myself, am I a cursed child? Until now. Knowingly, I know that I am a black sheep. But to this level, after moving away from Jamaica, I try to make a new beginning. So I think for me now, it's a new beginning in everything. Didn't know that this was a new beginning of something that have no beginning. And as life goes on, in this relationship, I started seeing things that I used to see from my childhood concerning ghosts. As I have stated in part 1 and part 2, it's like I have a gift of seeing dead people. And so at night, it's like I would hear voices calling my name. But knowingly to myself, I know that I must not answer. This thing started happening to me now, even in the days. I started get strange visions. I wouldn't call these dreams, I would say visions, because all of these things that I've seen, it happened one behind the other. And as my intuition started to get more stronger and I find myself certain things that I used to do in life, I started to turn away from it as if there was a voice reaching out to me to look to this direction. And I didn't take heed to the voice that was calling to me. I was just like, keep going, keep going. For instance, I used to drink a lot. I'm a person who used to enjoy myself. I love to go to parties and stuff like that. And then I find that drinking alcohol, at that time, it was my only relief. It made me find comfort in myself. Whatever I was going through at this time, whenever I take a drink of alcohol, it was made me feel that everything is going to be all right. And I find myself in this relationship start getting codependent. I started to depend on my partner for everything, wherein it wasn't used to be so before, because I used to be an independent woman. I have started to work from the age of 16. So I used to provide for myself. I am not the type who depend on man to stretch things for me to be comfortable. I used to be a woman of my own. But all on a sudden, I was in this situation that I had to depend on this person for everything. Everything I wanted. It was like I was just locked away somewhere in the desert, in a box. And like I was given a name, and that name was codependent. I wasn't be seen by anyone, and anyone wouldn't be seen by me, as if I was a lost black sheep in the world. In this situation, I ended up with my fourth child. At the moment, I weren't planning on having any more children, but this child was a gift from God. So I had my child, and after a while, he started getting very, very sick. Then I didn't know what was going on, but somewhere along the line, I know there was something definitely wrong. As years roll on, things started to happen very serious among my family members. My last child, one day, he was on the floor. And I think he was about 6 months old, and he was on the floor. And I was in the room looking through the window. Then I felt a soft, warm feeling runs across the top of my feet. When I looked down, I didn't see anything. So I said it's strange, because normally I am a person who I like to see lizard from afar, but I don't want to see these things on my body. So I was there saying, oh my God, is this a lizard that just walk on my feet? Then I said, oh no, I don't think it's that. And I went towards the living room. And as I seated in the living room, my child was on the floor. And I heard a sound coming out of the bedroom. And when I looked to the direction of the sound, the direction where the sound was coming from, I saw a snake, and it was coming at my child with a speed. So I went towards my child and I picked him from the floor. And when I picked him from the floor, I said, oh my God, what is this? What is a snake doing inside of the bedroom? So I have one hand hold my child, and then I went to get the stick of the broom. And I started to eat the snake. But each time I thrown the broomstick at the snake, it tried to jump to come towards me. And so my second son were in his room, and I called out for him, and then he came. And when he comes, he saw the size of the snake, and he said, Lord Jesus, Mim, you don't see that this is an anaconda? And immediately he grabbed his phone and he started to video it. But this snake was as if it had no intention to go back in the room. It was like his mission was to keep coming at us. So my son had to put away the phone, and he go and he took a machete and he started to chop the snake. And he chopped and chopped and chopped the snake until it was finally dead. And then we took it from the house and put it outside. On the return of my partner from work, when he come and we shown him the snake that was in the bedroom, I look on his face, and his expression wasn't, as somebody looking frightened, as if to say, what was a snake doing in the room? The expression that he gives is as if he already known about that snake. And so I didn't say anything to him. I was just there watching movements, and immediately I started to put 1 and 2 together with the things that have been going on in my life, and the visions that I've been getting, and things that I've been seeing, and sounds that I've been hearing. And around a couple days after my son have killed this snake, my son has lost his senses completely. Everything for my son started to fall apart. His life changes. He was a madman. I said, I don't know where is my child, but this child, it wasn't my child when I see what he was going through. And so I watched him, and things started to get very, very serious with him. So I decided to seek advice on how to go to help my son, because his action now started to become very, very serious, and he started to do stuff that he never normally used to do. His reaction towards us has changed. There is no more love in my son. It's as if he has been transformed, as if he has been possessed by some strange spirit. Then I used to drink alcohol, and in those days, as I said, I used to drink sometimes out of control. If it was like now, when I am a spiritual woman, then I could have helped myself and my son then, but I wasn't so deep in Christ as now. And I seek at that time for spiritual help. And by doing so, I am not afraid to tell the world that by doing so, I still didn't end up anywhere. Everywhere I go to, it was a dead end. My son's situation started to deteriorate. It's starting to get worse and worse, as if there is no help for him. I have been to spiritual places outside of the home, and nobody couldn't tell me what is the matter with my child. I have been to churches and I've taken home pastors in the home to see what was happening to my child. And each time a pastor enters the home, it's as if that pastor keeps on running. No one couldn't face this situation because it was so aggressive. I remember the last pastor came to the house, and by entering the door and he heard the voice of my son, he goes back home. He said, this is not something for him to handle. So I said at the time, then if there is no pastors to handle this situation, now I know it is a spiritual attack on my son. But if it is there no pastor to handle it, who will handle it? Because pastors, they know, some of them that are true believers, they know what is going on. For the ones that are fake, I know they cannot face it. And so my child remained into this condition. And one day he gets terrible out of control. It's as if some voices were speaking to him, because when I tried to sit him down and speak with him, he tells me that there are some people telling him to do things. I turned to him and I said, you don't have to listen to none of the voices that you hear speaking to you. I said, I'm your mother. Listen to me. And he tell me what the voices are telling him to do. That he should go on the mountain and he should jump. And he keep on asking me to get a casket for him. I said, what are you going to do with a casket? He said he needs it for himself. I said, no, I won't get you any casket. As I said, if I was walking with God fully those days, I would know how to rebuke these demons from my son. But then I wasn't walking fully with God. I had 1 foot in at the time and 1 foot out. It's not no. And then I felt so helpless, because all my funds, I didn't have any money, because I have been out of work for so long. Everything for me wasn't going good. And then I didn't know where to turn. I finally get a job again. And by getting this job, I still have to leave it, because I have to be back and forth to be in the home to watch my son, because he started to getting so dangerous. He couldn't stay by himself, because you don't know what is going to be his next move. He was so aggressive. All the who that he loved, he turns against them. And his intention only to draw knives and machete, as if the same machete that he used to kill the snake, that is the same machete he keeps on wanting to draw at everybody, even his smaller brother who was the baby at the time. He keeps on seeing us into a different way. And when I said to him, why he's behaving this way, he says they are telling him to do these things. And then everything started to get out of control. I didn't know what to do. My son he started to get worse and worse. We couldn't control him in no way. Oh my God. Then one day he decided that he wants to go home. He don't want to stay with us anymore. He go and he have one of my niece to purchase his ticket, and he went back to Jamaica. I didn't want him to leave us because I know right there and then that I am not with him, and I didn't want anything to go wrong with him doing anything bad to anyone or anyone doing anything bad to him. And my position at the time, I couldn't leave to go with him. So my twin brother were in Jamaica, and I called him and tell him to receive him at the airport for me. When he went to Jamaica, his condition checked off like a week or so. And then finally everything started again. All hell begins to break loose. They take him to the hospital, and he was admitted there for 2 weeks. The doctor said they see nothing wrong with him, wherein I know at that time the doctors them couldn't see anything wrong with him because it is not a case for the doctor to handle. So there is nothing for the doctors to see. So after they have given him medication, they started to give him one injection. It was a tranquilizer, yes, and to calm his nerves. And they let him back out when he was calmed. But to be honest, this drugs that he's taking, I know it wouldn't help him because he did not need medication to be better. Because this was a spiritual attack on my son. Anyways, I find myself getting closer and closer to God. I start getting visions to give my life to Christ. On doing so, I have made 2 attempts to commit suicide. There is a bridge in the island where I were at the time. I go towards the bridge. It was one Sunday morning when I tried to jump from the bridge. I had my phone on me and I heard it ring, and it was a ringing from one pastor from a church. I have known a sister that was going there at the time, and they also knew of my condition. So they were inviting me to come to church. But I didn't go that Sunday morning. It was a voice telling me to go on the bridge and jump. I want to end it all because seeing my son in this situation, to me at the moment, it's as if I have nothing more to live for at the time. And so when the phone rang, it's as if I was falling into a trance, and then I awake and I answered the call, and then the pastor asked me where I am, but I didn't say. And then he tell me that they are going to come and pick me where I am. I must come to church. And then I find like a peace was coming in my body, a peace that I don't know, and I cannot explain it to anyone, because it's only when you find yourself in this situation, it's then and there you can know what I am talking about. And I walked away from that bridge, and I go back to the house, and they picked me, and I go to church. And when I go to church, I didn't plan on going to get saved. And on the same day I got baptized and I went back home. It was like peace, a piece of a river, like river was flowing through my soul at the time. A calmness. It was something deep inside of me, directing me and comforting me and telling me that everything is going to be okay. Even when I knew the situation that I was in and what I am going through. Regardless of it, there was something inside of me that keeps me going. And I started attending church, and as I get closer to God and I begin to pray harder and harder, go through fasting, I started seeing a lot of things that if someone would come and tell me that it was so, maybe I would said no, they're lying. But this step that I have taken closer to God, it have opened my eyes to a lot of things. And then, oh my God. And then one day I was at home and my phone ring, and it was a call from my son in Jamaica. And as I picked the call, I know as if I had known what he's going to say. I find my whole body started to get nervous. I was shivering all over, and then his voice felt so calm, and he said to me that some people tried to attack him and that he used the machete and he chopped up all of the people them. I said, what? He said, yes, but they are the ones who interfere with him. He didn't do anything. I turned to him and I said, you know you shouldn't have done that. I tell you, each time you're going through things like that and like voices speaking to you, you should call me. He said he didn't know what happened then, but it's like he couldn't call me. Okay, I said to him right away, you know what you have to do? Go and give yourself to the police. Do not let them search for you. Go and give yourself over to them before it gets out of hand. Anyway, right away, I get in contact with family members, and as I was there waiting for the police to have him in custody, I was there praying to God and asking God, don't let them find him. Let him go to them, because I know the police is in Jamaica, what they're like when they go to get somebody that are very aggressive. They go with intentions to kill. They don't go with intentions to save. They kill first and then they ask question after. And so I was there wondering what next to do. And then I reached out to the lady. This lady that he have attacked is also a lady that was taking care of my sick mom at the time, because as I've mentioned that she was in a wheelchair and she couldn't help herself. So this lady were the one that was taking care of her, and she was the one also taking care of my son. And after I reached out to the hospital where the lady was and the injuries that she have obtained, I have said to her that I am asking her, don't press any charges on my son, because he did not do it of his own wish. She said okay, she wouldn't do it because she knows the type of person he was. And so On the following day, I understand, yes, my son got caught by the police, and I understand that there were people who goes to press charges against him. From the handling of the lady that he have attacked, I said, okay, if she have decided to press charge, then there's nothing else that I can do. But at the time, she also had a son, a daughter that were in the same state of mind as my son. And I was saying to myself, how could someone, I know she's the one going through the pain, but how could someone be so hard, to know that whatever my child is going through and your child is going through the same, and you do this to my child. But at the same time, I realized she didn't do it of her own. She have been set up by others, by her own member of family and my siblings. And they have teamed up now to press charges on my son, because according to them, my son do it of his own will. So he do the deed, so he must spend the time. I said, okay, but as I know then what some of my family members know, but some did not know, because I said I was the black sheep of the family. Some is with me and some is not with me. Because then and there, I lose close one to me. I have been stabbed in the back by the ones that are closest to me. I have been rejected by those who have been closest to me, the people that I think that would be there for me during my times of trouble. These are the same type of people who turn their back on me in the time when I need them most, because they put together a story of their own, a story that doesn't exist, a story that doesn't true against my son. Anyways, as he got locked up, and he was there locked up for approximately 3 years. He had been locked up in Christiana, police locked up with no bail. They don't want to give him any bail. I was saying to myself, I know this is the work of the devil, but anyway, I didn't try to make Satan overcome me, because I know that the devil is a loser. And so I said to myself, you know what I got to do? I don't want anyone to pray with me. I am going to pray for myself, because this is a matter that only God can handle. And I started taking my prayer life very seriously. I do 21 fasting, 7 days and stuff like that. Hours of the night, I continue to pray without ceasing. And as time goes on and the trial for my son draws on and off, I have get lawyers, and the lawyers then were of no good. They only took my money, and I had to drop and turn to another one. And with no help from no one, away from God, my son has been locked up for that 3 years with no visit from no member of my family. No member of my siblings have ever one day go and visited my son and said, how you doing? But God bless them anyway. And to cut a long story short, I would just say that he was on trial to get 17 years until finally his charges were dropped to three years with treatment. Now he's doing his final year. To God be the glory. And then, while my son was going through all of this, I didn't know what was going on exactly behind the scene. But with everything that God has shown me, the devil that I was living with at the moment have come up against me, because sometimes we see things in people and people see things in us that they are scared of. And when they understand and reach to the realization and know that they cannot do nothing to stop you in life, then they form a group against you to take you down. Right then and there, I know that I was somebody protected by God Almighty, because this that have happened to my child, it wasn't meant for my child. This was sent for me by the devil that I was living with at the time. He was with a younger woman outside, and the both of them have teamed up against me, trying to take me out. But to God be the glory, because they have been defeated. And as time goes on, I was still in this relationship. Not to say in any way better, but I was still living at the same house with this same devil, and didn't know that he was the cause of all our problems. Only to find out that he was trying to swap destiny with me and to use me as a sacrifice. I mean, I know that there are people out there that is wicked, but to be wicked this far, I didn't see myself in this position. It was like, in those African movies where you're watching, they are doing this type of sacrifice to people. It was like, only in the movies you see these things going on. It wasn't real, but right away, it was real. It was reality. I mean, there's a lot of sick ass people out there, who will go to any length to destroy someone's life and don't care a damn. But I am here to say to all those who have ganged up against me, betrayed me, and stabbed me in the back, I am here to say you have messed with the wrong one. For God is and will continue to fight for me. And I will never use as a sacrifice. No one have that authority over me anymore. Then they could have tried. They still wouldn't be successful, because I did not belong into the devil. I am a child of God. My destiny was written by God. So no one have the authority to come and try to steal it. And as I see what the devil was trying and how the devil was doing to take me down, because what didn't reach me that time, it reaches my child. And when I find myself there in that situation, each time I tried, like I am going to take action after finding out all these things, it's as if he never wants me to take action. If I said it is none of my family member or it's somebody strange, right there and then he would say, yes, they are the ones who do it. He wouldn't say, no, it's not them. But the minute I try to say that whoever do this to my child, I am going to send back that same thing to them, he comes up against me, because right there and then he knows that it's going to turn back at him. And the group that he's in against me. And so I have been in this situation after, and I am out of it now for nearly 4 years, because when I was there talking to God through everything, I know this wasn't a situation for me to stay in, because right there and then, all my life that I have spent in this relationship, over 16 years and something, it wasn't a natural one, because I was being manipulated in every form of way. And this person has used black magic to try to tear me down. Everything and everyone around me, those who were close to me, those who I have loved and those who have loved me, it has used to put them on a different road apart from me, to separate us. And that is why I walk away from this situation and have rewrite my story for better. For all that was thrown at me by exes, family members, friends, and all the others, I am here to say that I have cheated death. And I have took all that pain and transform it into strength. And that is how I overcame one turbulent relationship. And for this, it is why I would encourage anybody, somebody that has been walk in my shoe or about to walk in my shoe, to please, if you find yourself in this situation, walk away. There is no love here. It's just jealousy. And sometimes we find ourselves in places with spouses and we feel that love is there. Whether a man or a woman, it's either one of the party needs you for something. The minute you cannot do this for the person, you ain't saying nothing. And when they find out that they can use you for something, they will surely use you. And there and then is where I wake up from my sleep and my slumber. And I have turned my life all over to God. And by the grace of God, I know He will see me through, because I am covered. My children are covered. My grandchildren are covered. And all those that are attached to me are covered with the precious blood of Jesus. And no one, when I said no one, no demons in hell cannot overthrow us. Because when you turn your life over to God, when you find a connection with God, when you have a special relationship with God, nobody cannot tell you about Him. And I know for real that God exists and that He's alive, because He has done it for me. And just like Job, I know God is going to take me and my loved ones out of this situation. Just like Job, God is going to do it for us. So until then, guys, this is the final part of my story. The middle of my life is history. But to all those who are interested in my book, there will be further information concerning it. It will be out soon. So for what you don't know here, please support me on my book. The topic is the black sheep. I hope you all enjoy my story, and I hope it's a blessing for someone out there. I hope whoever comes across it, and if you're going through anything close to this, my story may change your life. And if there is someone out there who have been through it, I know I weren't alone because we are in it together. So until then, guys, stay blessed. One love.